Many moons ago, I used to love buying the Nulgath farming pets. It's one of the things in game I just really wanted to get, and I did spend 5,000 adventure coins on Drudgen the Assistant and also on Crag and Bamboozle. But I thought to myself, with the way Nully farming is nowadays and all the changes, are they really worth spending 5k ACs on anymore? And the answer is, well, probably not. At least that stands for Drudgen the Assistant, because if you didn't know, you can literally come along into the shop, click on Drudgen, and then you can just use his quest marker from within here to load up all the quests anyway. And presuming you've got auto reaccept on, you'll never have to return here again until you next log in. So I don't really know why you'd be buying this pet. Not to mention, you can just ask someone who already owns them to get them out, and you can click on them to access the quests in any map you like. The main thing we're going to come on to is the quest pet you probably should be thinking about buying if you would like to buff up these resources, along with doing supplies to spin the wheel, which don't forget you can just accept from Nulgath if you prefer. I couldn't spot them anymore, however the Drudgen drop rates did used to be ever so slightly lower on some things like the non-member voucher by literally a percentage point compared to Crag and Bamboozle. The contract exchange quest that Drudgen has is really helpful. I use that one all of the time when I'm going through farming bits and bobs, and again it crosses over to Crag, as you'll see in just a moment. Towards the end of the video, I will show you how I go about farming resources. It is what I call the ultimate pay-to-win way to go about doing it, but like I say, we'll come on to that. It does evolve the Oblivion Blade of Nulgath rare version. If you happen to have a Crag and Bamboozle just lurking in your inventory and you're not doing the Grumble daily quest, it literally requires 2 seconds of your time to accept and turn it in, so you might as well do that. You have the chance at getting yourself some blood gems. The Diamond Exchange quest is also really helpful if you do need some unidentified 13s. You just need to turn in 15 diamonds to be able to grab them, so that is one of those that's definitely worth considering. I think it's one of those things, if you have a disposable 5k ACs, maybe Crag is potentially worth getting. Most likely, if you are using Crag and Bamboozle, you'll be doing this Bamboozle versus Drudgen quest. So this is where you go along and get some tainted cores off the tainted elemental. The drop rate on those are pretty high, they stack up to 13, and you turn them in for some relics of chaos, which in turn will do your supplies to spin the wheel of chance. It's not overly essential to do it this way though, because relics of chaos drop more than enough from various chaos monsters in game. You've probably seen them when you've been going along farming for something totally else. You're like, oh, I got a relic of chaos, and then oh, I got another relic of chaos. They do stack up really quite quickly. Pretty much just go along to any chaos lord monster where there's a group of people killing it, and you will get yourself some relics. Rip-off Emporium also exists nowadays. This was never a thing back along when I bought these quest pets, and to be honest, this probably wouldn't sway me into not buying a Crag, because you still need those unidentified 10s anyway for the majority of those items. Some of them of course are just diamonds, which does change it up a little bit. The Nulgath larvae pet is still a thing, so if you prefer to use that when you're farming, that can get you some items, and it does have some quite high drop rates on particular bits and bobs. Now, what quest pet shift pet? You may be saying to yourself, Goon, why not the Bounty Hunter's drone pet? That's because this one is 500 ACs more expensive than the birthday gift pet. So they have exactly the same quest, with the slight exception that the drone does actually have an additional quest, but that's only to get yourself an armor customizer pet. So if you'd like to spend the extra 500 ACs on one of those, then that is entirely up to you. But if you're here purely for farming reagents, then just go along and buy the birthday gift pet, because it's cheaper and you're getting exactly the same stuff as you can see right here. Okay, now let us move on to our next topic. If you have an OG Nulgath challenge pet lurking in your bank, or any OG quest pet, it's always worth getting them out, because some of them like this have a really nice daily quest. You can pick whatever item you want off of that, and it requires just a few seconds of your time to go along and do, and I always used to use that for getting blood gems. If you have the Oblivion Blade of Nulgath rare, you can go about this farming method, which is the one I predominantly use when I am getting myself reagents. So there is the Dark Deal quest. You want to accept this, and you need to get yourself some tainted souls. You may be thinking to yourself, didn't Crag and Bamboozle have a similar quest? Well, funnily enough, yes they did. The Bamboozle versus Drudgen one, you're going to get tainted cores. Both of these drop from the tainted elemental. There's one at the Nulgath map, if you remember. I think there's one over at Evil Marsh, and there's also one that lurks in Turkiskuna Malotolalim. I believe you need to head back over a room from where the Nulgath NPC is, as long as he doesn't clap you one, and then you should should spawn in next to that elemental. At least that's how it used to be from memory. The cores and souls stack up to times 13, and when you turn them in, it will give you 13 relics of chaos. Make sure you accept those relics and turn in supplies to spin the wheel before you go ahead and turn in your other quest. Otherwise, you'll just lose the extra 13 resources because the relics won't stack up above 13. So just bear that in mind and do them one at a time like I've just done, and then you should get yourself some nice reagents. Alternatively, of course, like we said earlier, if you're just doing supplies to spin the wheel, go to a map where there's a chaos lord where lots of people defeating him, and you can get yourself some relics that way, which again you can just passively farm in the background anyway. So always worth having supplies to spin the wheel going if you're defeating this sort of monster. So to summarise what the original topic of this video was, no, I would not be spending 5000 ACs on Drudgen because you can just accept and pin his quests through the shop without even having to have him, and also if another player has him equipped, you can accept it that way. Crag and bamboozle also isn't really worth the 5k ACs unless you just have them sat around and you don't really know what else to spend them on. If it was me and you want some extra resources, I'd accept the supplies to spin the wheel either from Nulgath or from Drudgen. Rinse and repeat that to get your reagents. And anyway folks, as always, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all again for another one incredibly soon, so until then, have a lovely day.